Hello, I am Chrissy Janiga. I am an author and I am a social worker and mindset and alcohol-free coach. This video accompanies my 2 weeks alcohol-free PDF. I will link it below, and also feel free to join my supportive community on Facebook. It's called Glow Vibes Tribe. Again, I often think that support is crucial when we try to give up alcohol and when we try to change our mindset. I think we come to the assumption that we have to do everything alone, and oftentimes really successful people get help and they get insight from other people because, a lot of things that we have going on is in our subconscious mind. What does that mean? So some of the things we think and feel and our memories that get stored in that subconscious. And only about 90 to 99% is in our actual subconscious. The rest of it is our conscious thoughts. So if I decided to buy a house, I'm consciously thinking about buying a house. Now, I'm bringing this up and I really want to talk about your thoughts and emotions throughout this experience. So when we decide to stop drinking, or we really decide to do any type of mindset work, we need to not be on autopilot. There's a lot of mind chatter. I call it mind chatter. There's a lot of things that happen when we start, we get busy, we do our thing, but sometimes we have really some thoughts that are on repeat that aren't helpful, and they create maybe a negative feeling in our bodies. They maybe make us feel depressed, anxious. And so what I really want you to do this week and the next week is slow down. And I always say maybe getting a morning routine, a night routine, to start to pay attention to your thoughts. And this takes practice. This is not something that we automatically do. Like, I don't wake up and go, okay, what am I thinking every minute of the day? But I've taken some inventory because some of the thoughts that I've had are really not helpful. They're not moving me forward to my goals. And I didn't even realize I was having half of them. And this is where, because they're stored in the subconscious. So if you think about, let's say, riding your bike, you learn how to ride a bike, you consciously think about riding a bike. Okay, I put my feet on the pedal. Okay, I got to balance. I mean, you're thinking about all the steps. Once you actually start riding your bike and you get good at it, it is now stored in your subconscious. It's a memory. It is on autopilot. So you don't have to think about it. Your brain is smart. No pun intended, but it needs space for other things. So once you get good at riding a bike, you can pay attention to the traffic, you can just do other things. And the same goes for the things that we think about in our lives. A lot of the subconscious things that happen, the thoughts, beliefs, limiting beliefs, happen in our childhood and through early adulthood. And we're on autopilot, so we don't really pay attention to them. Hence why we don't think about them. And then sometimes I've worked with people that are like, I don't even know how I got from here to here in such a short amount of time. But there was a lot that actually happened, but we don't think about it. So how do we actually explore our thoughts? Well, journaling is a really good way. Meditation's a good way, and I will explain why. And then in the workbook, I give you Byron Katie's method to kind of look through some of your thoughts. And, I think there's a couple components to this. Your thoughts are comprised of, again, sentences and I'm not good enough, or why is this always happening to me? And these thoughts create emotions, and emotions change behaviors, right? If we go into the day thinking nothing good happens to us, well, that would make anyone feel depressed or anxious or hopeless. And then we might not work out, or we might not do the things we need to do to actually propel our life. So sometimes it's really evaluating our thoughts. And if it's really hard to do some of this, really just start writing down what you're feeling. And it's not a place to judge yourself. Again, we're not taught all of this stuff, right? When you go to school, you're not taught how to evaluate your thoughts and have better thoughts. And again, I'm not a doctor or psychiatrist. So some people truly might need to go see somebody else and get help. So I always advocate for whatever you think you need is the best for you. But if we don't know what we're working with, we don't know how to change it. So I gave you the video about the science of, what alcohol does to us. So it's a depressant, it releases all these chemicals, a stress chemical, dynorphin, that makes us feel really low. And so when we look at that coupled with our thoughts, you can probably see how, well, if we don't remove alcohol, and again, we might need to do it for more than 2 weeks to really get it out of our body, then how do we know what we're really working with? And this is the beauty of giving up alcohol for a small amount of time, if not forever, is that we can really work on what we got going on. So many of us are used to the way we feel. So if we feel low, we feel like we don't have energy, we think that's the status quo and that's how we live. But what if I told you you might have more energy? You might be able to work on your mindset. That feels good. And I think that we are never done learning. I can tell you I worked on my mindset a lot. And some of the thoughts that I had, I didn't realize I had. And I'm going to give you an example so you can start working on them. And again, some are super easy to figure out and some are really deep down. Because if we look at drinking and we look at our needs, again, if it was just about a beverage, it would be easy to fix, it'd be easy to work with, but we have needs and other things that maybe go in the back burner when we're hungover, when we feel like crap, then we don't get done. And that doesn't feel good. And that also can produce really negative thoughts, emotions, and again, not doing the things that we need to do to propel our life forward. So when I first started to evaluate my relationship with alcohol, I had massive anxiety. I literally thought about a trip I had in 6 months. And the trip, I was worried about how would I not drink alcohol? And to be honest with you, that was a lot of anxiety that I caused on myself, a lot of anxiety I caused to my body. And I don't have a crystal ball. So take it day by day. We have to take things day by day. And if we try to predict our future, and again, once you start realizing your thoughts, you might say, wow, I'm predicting the future all the time, but I can't predict. And it's causing me to have anxiety. I literally felt anxious and I realized this is ridiculous. I can't predict my future. I also cannot give myself anxiety about things I don't know about. So it's realizing that I've done this before. So if I keep trying to predict the future but I'm predicting it negatively, I don't have the resources and psychic ball to predict my future. So I've done this before. And a lot of times we have the same patterns. And if you look at I've also put some of the thought work by Dr. Amen. So Dr. Amen he's a psychiatrist and he talks a lot about the thought process. And I always find people do one or two of the thoughts 100%. And so when you look at it in the PDF, you're going to start seeing that fortune telling, what I did, is one of the things I do. So but I don't predict it sometimes positively. And that's the difference, right? If we predicted the future, like I know if things are going to be great, we wouldn't have an issue. And so I think that that's the key. Just start paying attention and writing down some of the things that you're thinking about and what it's doing to your mood. And is it true? Is it helpful? Some of our thoughts are not even true. They're really not. My thought about my future, I mean, number one, it might not be true, and it also might not be helpful. And when we look at the subconscious and limiting beliefs, we can go even further. But for this, I think I'm just going to leave it at this. But if you want to, start paying attention to what you want, what your limiting beliefs are. I think that sometimes it doesn't seem so accessible. But when we start looking more and more into things, we might look at, oh my God, I'm terrified if I do this one thing, that I'm going to fail at it. And that doesn't feel good. So also I do 100% believe once we remove alcohol, you have more time and energy to start working on the other things that aren't serving you. And that is the beauty of this, is figuring out what you want, what gives you purpose and meaning. And honestly, I do not believe alcohol does any of those things. Thank you so much, and look for my other videos.